Uh, Hello, I'm Molly. I'm a third year communication studies student, and here with me this evening is Neve. She's in second year, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the communication studies course. So, comms is a hands-on media production course, and you can go into things like media production, public relations, the sort of things you can see up on the slide there. The only requirement that there is for comms is a H4 in English, and the CAO points are usually in and around 400, sometimes a little bit lower, sometimes a little bit higher.
So this is just like a general overview kind of all the modules you are going to be doing. We're going to go more in depth about it now. So you can see like year one is all like kind of introduction and background classes. So you do like social studies and like communications obviously, and then the psychology of media, things like that, and history. And then year two you start to build up those practical skills, so like photography, audio production, and you go more in depth with like film history and theory, things like that. And then in third year you do like your video production module and PR, and you kind of each year you get more specified into kind of what area you're into. And all of the years are continuous assessment, so there's not really exams in this course. It's a lot of portfolio and project work, which is really nice. So in first year, you, as I said, like it's a lot of background modules. So like introduction to communications literally just provides like an overall kind of like grounding for what you're going to be studying. There's stuff on film, and like there's a lot on mass media and like how it affects the media we intake. And then we have social studies. You kind of learn about how people are presented, and like you learn a lot about like minorities, things like that in the media. And then critical thinking and independent learning. I think basically every course has to do this in DCU in first year. It's so helpful. It gives you like, it shows you kind of how to properly research and like read academic like pieces, because obviously it's quite difficult when you're coming from secondary school. And they'll give you tips for like writing essays, and they show you how to use all the resources online for DCU, which is really handy. And then analyzing the visual media text is all like visual media would be like advertising, film, like kind of any like video or like anything you can see, obviously. So it goes kind of in depth. You learn a bit about advertising, which is interesting if you're in the business side of it, like marketing. But you also do like film and things like that. So that's really interesting.
And then in semester two, you study cultural studies, history structure of the media, psychology, media and creativity, and then digital media production skills. So cultural studies is similar to social studies, but is a lot more in depth on how people of minorities or people of different cultures are shown in the media. So rather than just studying it and seeing what different aspects of it there are, you learn about minority prejudices and different things like that, and how media is produced in different parts of the world, like Hollywood, Bollywood, Irish media, English media, all that sort of stuff. In history and structure of the media, you get a background right the way from the printing press to the second phase of the setup of Hollywood. So you learn about Gutenberg, the printing press, you go on to press and the media and the newspapers. Then you do a little bit of radio and a little bit of TV news, how people see the media, how the media is set up to kind of draw people in and tell stories, and sometimes be neutral and observant, and then sometimes a little bit more subjective. Psychology, media, and creativity then is kind of how people work in the media, and people who work in the media, how they kind of think, what they do, what phases people go through in life to get involved in film or art or comedy or anything like that. And it's about kind of how psychological factors affect people's creativity, and how it's nurtured, maybe not nurtured at school, things like that. And then digital media production skills is a really hands-on module. It's great fun. It's a leader to the three production modules that we have throughout second year and third year. So you learn about photography and you do a little bit of photography for a couple of weeks. You learn about audio production and sound and good sound, bad sound, soundscapes, and you do audio for a couple of weeks. And then you finish up with video production and you get to make a short little promo video for the video assignment and that. So it's all kind of first year is kind of like a basis and understanding of the things so that you're kind of ready and to go ready for action in second and third year.
So I'm currently in second year, so these are all the compulsory modules that I would have this year. So yeah, I'll just go through them and kind of talk about them. The ones on the left hand side are all my semester one modules, so I've already finished these. So understanding digital media, you do a lot on AI, you talk about kind of legislation, is government really protecting children online, kind of the dangers of media, and like it's obviously it's quite a changing course because as we're getting more AI, like they're updating it, which is very interesting because you get quite like up to date like facts like that help you with like what you're actually going to be doing when you leave college. And then I had photography and imaging. That is a really interesting module. It is like a portfolio class. So you create a portfolio. There are like separate assignments you have to do for the portfolio, and then the main project is like you just choose literally any theme, which is so nice, and you like propose it to your lecturer, and then you go out and you photograph it in wherever you are doing it. So like I did mine on friendship, and I just like photographed all around the city, like different friendships I saw. I asked people, "Can I take your photograph?" Things like that, and it's really nice. You have at the end a big portfolio, and that's what you get graded on. So there's no exams in that one, and the first one is essay based, so there's no exams in that either. And then you have media audiences, and that just kind of looks at how like the media affects its audience and versus yeah, like how audience affects the media. So like how do we impact media? Like they give us kind of obviously what is in demand, and then like what impacts specific types of media has on audiences, like psychologically, things like that. And then media writing and expression is a really interesting one. We did, it's also essay based, but you do like one of them was a review of any film that you like, and one was it could be a short story or a memoir. So that kind of teaches you like the writing you'd be doing if you're going into media writing for film or like any of that type of thing. So that was really interesting as well. And then this semester I have media and power, so it's kind of just showing like you talk about it a lot kind of through the years anyway, like the power dynamics in the media, like who controls media, like government's impact, and like what the big like broadcast kind of organizations in Ireland, things like that. And then audio production is the practical module. You have a practical module each semester. So they do photography and audio in second year. So then once you get to third year, you do video, and you combine the two practical skills together to do your video production. So audio, you'd be looking at kind of how they edit like audio for like podcasts, films, like things like that. Very interesting. We do have Mac Labs actually in DCU, which is really really good. They have like all the editing tools for free, so you can do it in college. And then film theory and history, all obviously kind of like background of film. It kind of I think leads on from like the theory and history of media that you do in first year. It just gets more specified into film. And then the last one there is perspective networked societies. That's just kind of like about society, how like the networks between, it's like the connections between all the different media types, things like that. Yeah, and these are all kind of except for the two practicals, these are all essay based. And then the practical modules, they grade you. You always make like a portfolio, and you put all of your work onto maybe one web page, and then that gets graded. But everything else is essay based. There's no really exams in these. And then these are your optional modules that you would have in second year. So the first three, you choose one for semester one, and then the second three, you choose one for semester two. So, I mean, they're quite like understandable yourself. Like, you kind of choose what you're into. If you're like more looking at the music side of things, or like sport and media, so that would be like obviously broadcasting of sport. And I think they wrote an essay on like any sporting occasion that was broadcasted. So like very broad. You just get to look at how like media, like sports place in media. And then I did social class in media, so that was very like how people are presented in media, and like what it tries to tell you about different classes, like what class are they trying to like appeal to, and how does that affect like discrimination in like film and stuff like that. And then semester two, you have women and feminism, um, analyzing advertising and crime and policing. So again, kind of the same thing. They all just look at these things in relation to media, and like when I say media, I mean like papers, radio, TV, like any type of media, social media as well. So feminism, women, feminism, creative and culture industry, kind of how women are presented in like the creative industry, I suppose, like how like discrimination they go through, and like things like that. And then analyzing advertising, again, is really nice that there is a business path if you're not 100% sure what you're going to do with it. If you like business in school, it could be handy. Like there is a lot on advertising and marketing. And then the last one, crime policing media, is again like how people are perceived in media, how they're presented, and like what that kind of makes audiences think about certain groups, and like if crime is like actually featured properly in public media.
So then third year, which is our final year, the compulsory things you study are applying communication theory, video production, and communication presentation and performance. So in semester one, you cover applying communication theory and video production. So applying communication theory is kind of every theory we've done so far, be it in introduction to communications, media audiences, social studies, any of those, it's applied. So we see those theories in action, but we can see them in the media, we see them in political rallies. We watched a lot of the debates in America before, when the elections were on. So everything they do in the course is really based in the here and now, and most lecturers will do their best to apply what you're learning in class to something you've seen in the news last week, or something that happens in a film that you've definitely seen before. Everything's applied to the real world to make it really easy to understand. In video production, the world's your oyster, really. You kind of, at the first week, you have to do, your assignment is you have to edit an episode of a series into an advert for that series, to try and get your editing skills up, to know how to, portray messages you want to portray about different things. And then the second part of that is a production of your own. So you can make a documentary or a short film, and you get a one word prompt and you can go anywhere you want with it. So we were watching our videos just before Christmas, and some of the stuff people came up with were incredible, and people are writing scripts, doing interviews, getting other people involved. They're doing acting. It's a little bit of everything. It's a great module. And then communication, presentation, and performance is something I'm studying this semester. And again, it's like the world's your oyster. You've so much choice in this course. So you have to pick one thing that you are really, really passionate about, really interested in, and you can make a presentation about it. It's in a group, so you can either, read off bullet points, or you can do a talk, or you can do a drama. Someone's going to write a drama, and they're going to perform something based on what they're studying. So it's really, you can do anything you want. It's so broad, and it's really a year where you kind of figure out the things that you want to do, and really have a go at everything. So you're in final year, you've a lot of optional courses. You pick one a semester unless you're doing UNIN, and I'll talk about that in a minute because that's one of my ones. So for there's press and public relations, which is all about PR, management, the news, how people perceive politics, how PR has to work with different things that come up with politicians or people that they're representing, and how the press reacts to that. Media law is all about it's all about media law, kind of how the media world works, how the legalities of that work. So there's a little bit of, I think people in law do that as well. There's a bit of a crossover between the joint honours, English and law, and so that's very interesting. Television drama is all about how dramas are made, how they're scripted, what goes into making a television drama, how would you go about doing it? If you watch a television drama, can you see the beats of a story? And it's really part of it if you're into production and stuff, but don't mind a bit more of a theoretical side of that. It really goes into like how these things are made and how story beats are timed and come up with. And then media, religion, and society is kind of exactly what it says. It's how the media interacts with religion, and how, you know, how religion's perceived through things like news or film or stories, anything like that. Science, technology, and society is about how it's the same. It's advancements and tech, and it's all seen through, like everything in this course, a media perspective. So, like stuff you'd see on the news about technological advancement, how the media covers it, the questions they need to ask, and then UNIN is an extracurricular module. It's really, really good for people if you're into your sport and you know that while you're in DCU, you're going to be playing hurling or kicking football, or you're going to be on the debate team, or you're going to be in drama club, or you're going to be playing rugby. It's a module where you take the skills you've learned from that and write about it. So you get a mentor, and one of your essays is purely based on the extracurricular activities. So you can really write about stuff you're really, really passionate about. And if you're big into your sport, or big into your music, or big into your drama, it's ideal to kind of really have a look back at what you've done in your 3 years at DCU. And then communication, culture, and the environment was the topic I picked last semester. And it's really about how the environment is perceived through the world of communication. You cover people like David Attenborough, we talk about Greta Thunberg, and there's a lot of talk about documentaries and how documentaries are made, and how, the world of media affects the environment, how AI affects the environment, how the production of even mobile phones affects the environment. So it's really, really interesting about how this kind of internet world we've been talking about for 3 years affects the real world, the material world.
Yeah, so these are just kind of the reasons why we think you should study communications, because it's really cool. But I know we only have like a minute left, so we'll just speed through them. But this is why I chose it. I was really into film, but I was like, I don't know if I'll be awful at that. And I like that it was kind of a mix between theory. There's PR, and there's also like the marketing side. And I did business in secondary school, so I was like, if I really hate like media, or I'm just like kind of crap at it, like I can always go into marketing, like the business side. And then it has like my ideal mix of theory and practical. I'm sure some of you are looking at multimedia. It's an extremely practical course. It's a great course as well, but I just didn't want to do fully practical. I wanted to have some theory behind like my degree when I graduated. And then the continuous assessment is like unreal because I'm not an exam girl. I like having the option to just like write my essays, have time to make the portfolios and like perfect them. And it gives you more opportunity to do like practical things like portfolios. And then my top tip for any course you do if you come to DCU is to join societies. There's genuinely like so many, like it's insane. There's something for everyone in DCU. And it's like I think the best way to make friends with people who have similar interests to you. So like there's a lot of media kind of based societies on campus. Like we have PhotoSoc, we have FilmSoc, we have Her Campus, which is a magazine, and then we have Media Production Society, and they give you such good experience, and you meet lots of people that are going to be useful to you when you graduate, or if you're looking for experience, because it's hard to get experience in the 3-year course. And I think that's a really, really nice way to meet people who kind of are like-minded. But yeah.
Yeah, and then other reasons to pick it are like you have a really broad choice in what you study. A lot of it is about choice and what you're interested in. If you like sport, pick the sport module. If you're interested in women and media, pick the women and feminism module. If you are interested in law and that kind of alleyway, pick media law. It's kind of really built around what does the student want to learn, how many aspects of communications is there, and what can we provide for 200 or so students. That's across all the years who want to study different aspects of this really broad subject. So you're really catered for and looked after. You've the option to go nicher afterwards with study or work with a comms degree. So you can absolutely work after college with a comms degree. You could go into anything: radio, social science study, film. You really have quite a broad thing. But if you know what you want to do, if you know you want to do a master's, keep studying. You've covered so much that you can go like really niche. You can go and study just film, or you can go and study just PR or management or anything like that. So you really get to dip your toe into every aspect of communication. So it's great because it's kind of like it qualifies you for all these things. It's a brilliant, really fun degree and an amazing experience. But then, as well as that, if you know you want to do more afterwards, it kind of gives you a ground in so many different areas that you can pick, infinite amount of masters that can come out of it, because you can go so niche afterwards and really look into what you want to do. And that's everything from us.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can like put them in. We'll wait another like few minutes, but that's kind of everything.
Hi, Joseph. So, like we were saying, it's so broad, and with everything you do, there's a bit of everything. Like, you could do PR, which is what a lot of people in my year want to do. You could go into sport media coverage. You could be a commentator. You could be a journalist. You could be a sports reporter. You could do that in any area, in the news, anything like that. Or you could go like bonkers off the wall, like Ardal O'Hanlon, the guy who was Father Dougal out of Father Ted. He's a communications graduate. Do you know what I mean? So you could go nuts. You could do it to have a degree and move on, or you could go down so many routes from it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, for sure. And then just about how many years is in the course. Sorry, I don't know why she got logged off. But it's only 3 years, unfortunately, so you don't get like an opportunity to do internship or Erasmus. So that's like not great, but yeah, it's 3 years altogether. Yeah, you can definitely do like a master's after your degree. You could specialize in, I'm not really sure what DCU has in terms of masters, but like you could go, if you're going the more practical route, I think TUD has loads of like film and things like that. But if you're staying in DCU, they definitely do have masters to specify into. But there's no like direct lead on, like you can kind of go into any area you're interested in.
DCU Masters in documentary practice, which is headed by a lecturer we had this year, called Tom, and he's brilliant. And it's all video production and how you make. It's basically filmmaking, but for real life. So he does. You go out and do it on your own. Your overarching project is that you make a documentary on one particular topic. But there are, and then if you continue to do your masters in DCU, it's like cheaper to continue on in that you get a discount from being an undergrad student. And then, like any other course anywhere else, you could do a master's in film, a master's in PR, anything like that.
I think in like I'm not sure about like a job. I think it's kind of, they say that like communications is quite like the ground layer degree. That's not what you call it, but like the foundation of your degree. It's really important to get kind of experience. That's what I was told in first year anyway. You kind of have to find that on your own, unfortunately. But there is a lot of companies, like I'm sure it depends what you're interested in, but there's a lot of companies around even Dublin that are very open to giving like work experience to students. I know like a good few of my friends, like someone who did a social media one over summer, and I have one with like a film production, like company. It's quite like they're quite accommodating because they know that like obviously you need experience to get into the field, but because it's only 3 years, there isn't like an internship year per se. Like it's not built into the course.
Although, having said that, the lecturers are all people who work at the minute. So, like, our video producer, uh, documentary he had made last year in Alaska, and our photography lecturer showed us work that she'd done, her portfolio, because they're both freelance workers, as well as being lecturers. So there are people there that you can ask, even though it's not directly into getting an internship. There are people there who really want to help you and who you can say, look, I'm really interested in film. Who do you think I should contact? Have you got any contacts? Anything like that. I'm really interested in photography. How do you think I should go about making a portfolio or trying to go professional? So even though you don't have an internship, you are being taught by people who have worked in this field. They're not just lecturers of that thing. They're not. Very few of them are purely academic. So a lot of them have worked in production areas. So you do have people where you can ask, how did you go about going into this? How do I get a job off the end of this? And they're more than ready to help you because they're really passionate about what they do.